So can you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi, I'm Isabelle Allen from InterContinental Energy.
How was your morning here?
My morning here,
Yeah.
fantastic. It's just really high quality panels, listening to some really important discussions. So, yeah.
What were your takeaways? Anything that surprised you that you heard today that you weren't expecting?
Do you know what? Particularly about the panel we've just been on, I was quite interested in the comments on nuclear, and that's something which I'm coming from a supplier, a greenfield supplier perspective, so it wasn't something I'd heard that much about before. But I think what I think is really important is the reinforcement that ammonia is a key fuel path for decarbonisation, and I think my goal being here was to make sure that we have the suppliers at this conversation, because ultimately, if a large supply is going to be required, the ship owners, and when they build their strategy, need to understand where that could come from effectively.
Absolutely. I want to talk a little bit about your panel yesterday. For
Sure.
everyone who's watching this that did not get to participate and witness it in person, I heard It was great. I heard you guys got a lot of engagement, and Martin said you got really great feedback. So can you share a little bit about how that went and some of the questions that you got?
Absolutely. It was a panel. Let me just think about how to phrase it. So, the thing I thought was really interesting from my perspective was the breadth of representation, because there were representation from the port, from supply side, and also from ship owner side. So that was very, very interesting. And in terms of the conversations that were had, what I was able to bring was the supplier perspective. So I was able to talk about the breadth and the scale of the projects that we've got, how our purpose to deliver as competitive fuels at scale, and effectively bring that broader perspective to the discussion. There were some also very interesting conversations, and certainly Matt, who was Segondi from MMMZ, who was sitting to my left. He was talking about some of the really important work that he was doing for the crew and safety when it comes to use of ammonia and other fuels. So it was an interesting discussion, and a reflection on the different challenges involved in delivering or unlocking and accelerating decarbonisation. If I may, just a further thought on that. One of the things, and my closing remark at the panel was in respect of, you think about the title, and it was accelerating the pathway to zero or something. Apologies if I don't quote it exactly. But the idea being, we can only accelerate when we know what the regulatory framework looks like. And that, for me, was the crucial takeaway from today and the broader shipping week, is that everyone's watching and waiting, ready, I trust, to leap to action when that additional certainty comes, hopefully next month.
Can you think of any questions that were asked yesterday from the audience that gave you sort of some insight into what really hit home for the people who were listening?
In terms of the questions, gosh, sorry, I'm trying to think, because there were a whole load of different questions, and actually it was quite engaged conversation between the audience attendees as well.
Which is great. I think that's such an important point of these discussions, right? Is when you get the opportunity to really have a bit of a sparring opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. But do you know what? I think in terms of some of the themes that were coming out, not only regulation, which obviously is crucial to the success of decarbonisation as a whole sector. There was also a lot of chance to reflect on the themes of cooperation and how no country or company could do this alone. And I think that was reinforced this afternoon as well, when they were talking about, if the IMO vote does not go through in October, what we're looking at is not nothing. It's going to be each country or region regulating for themselves, which actually could end up in a worse outcome for everyone, particularly when you're looking at a global trade like shipping. And so, to that extent, I think another, the theme that also came out yesterday was cooperation and the importance of partnerships. But also, not only the importance of partnerships, but there's a lot that needs to be built, and there's a lot that needs to be developed. And I come at it from a supplier perspective. We have our, we're working alongside the industry to bring our projects online. However, there's also ports infrastructure. There's training. Some of the important work that my panel mate was doing in that respect. There's so much that needs to be going on, and at times I think it can feel like a really big challenge. But we always have to remind ourselves of the importance of it as also an opportunity, and a huge opportunity for those who do and take those steps.
When they asked the question about today at the end of the last panel about raising your hand about whether you felt better or worse after being here during this week about how well we're doing, which point did you raise your hand, or did you raise your hand?
I raised my hand for more positive, but for me, I think having the opportunity of being here in London, being part of these conversations, and being able to attend these high quality conversations, meet so many people from across the ecosystem, for me that in itself leaves me feeling positive, because there is a clear, we don't know quite what the path forward is, but I think provided the vote goes ahead in October, we have a quite clear idea of what's happening. And I think it's energizing to be able to get together as an ecosystem and see different challenges from different people's perspectives. And because it's only when we need to solve this as a whole. And for that jigsaw puzzle to be coming together, you need the supplier, you need the off-taker, you need the port infrastructure, you need the bunkering companies, you need everything to come together neatly. And we're very much in that phase of if you don't have those conversations, then you can't bring everyone together to deliver. So I think that's really important. And for me, that's probably why I'm coming out of this few days feeling energized and positive. But I think there's a big question mark hanging for October. And I'm not the expert, so I will leave it to others to opine on their sentiment. But to me, my takeaway is overall people are optimistic, but I would say cautiously so.